Hello friends, family and other creatures of the sea, and welcome to this best of 5 between in the top right spawning as our blue Protoss player playing for Team Storm Gaming. It is the MASSACRE. And in the bottom left it is a Cure playing for Dragon Phoenix Gaming, I want to say. Cure, a player that has recently impressed me a lot in the GSL. Cure he has big peaks, he has very low lows as well. Not a very consistent player, I want to say, when it comes to that. Sometimes you see him play in an online tournament, it's like, man, this guy is insane. He's the best Terran in Korea. That isn't Maru. Because Maru generally is just the best Terran in Korea, and pretty much the best Terran in the world, and has been for like the past 4 years or so. But sometimes you watch Cure play, and you look at it and you go like, huh, that looks kind of interesting. That looks kind of good. You look very fast, and the decision making will feel on point, the micro will be good. It does lack a certain flair in a way, like it lacks something that's truly unique about Cure. The thing about Cure isn't that he's necessarily super unique as a player, it's just that he has really solid fundamentals, he has very good mechanics, and his decision making tends to just be on point. And if all of these things just kind of all come together on, you know, the same 2 weeks, and you have this period where Cure feels pretty much unstoppable in a lot of matchups. And I'm curious if we're in a period like this right now, or if we're in a period where Cure will just drop maps to basically anyone and lose a series here and there for fun. Like, he's a very, very odd player when it comes to that. Very, very odd player. Now, Marines will take out this Adept, or at least try to take out the Adept. Good control there out of our red Terran. Second Adept is on the way as well, as we see a Twilight Council into a robotics facility. And with this timing, you're starting to believe that this might just be a DT drop. The way that this setup is being done, right? It's 2 Adepts, there's no Stalker behind this. I think this is a Dark Templar drop. Yes. Now the reason why I say that is because the robotics facility gets built before the blink. And it isn't necessarily uncommon for that to be the case when there's like a 3-gate or a 4-gate blink all-in, but it is fairly uncommon for MAXPax. MAXPax almost never plays Robo, or actually never plays Robo before he starts his blink, unless he's playing DT drop. So it's actually a very good tell for Terrans as well, if they want to do that. So this is going to be a full wall here. Prism is going to get constructed. As this Hellion tries to go in for a scout. Good block there with the probe though. Nice little full wall as well out of Max. And he's just going to secure his main base, making sure that that Hellion can't pop in there, which is a relatively big deal. Now, this probe is going to move towards the top side and will not be quite capable of building a nexus. The beauty of this is that this looks fairly similar from the Terran perspective to a 4-gate blink or a 3-gate blink, which is a build order that MAXPax is very well known for. So the fact that he's playing this kind of shows that he's aware of that fact, that Terrans know that he likes the 4-gate blink, and this is kind of a bit of a mind game when it comes to that. Now this Medivac did manage to spot the Prism, and I think that Cure is also aware of the timing. It's like, hey, this Prism is really, really fast. Usually if you go Robo this quick with a blink all in, there first will be an Observer. So this timing is just a bit too quick. We'll see a Raven come out immediately. Tank as a follow-up. Mines at home will be capable of dealing a little bit of damage. No, just 2 workers will end up falling here. As the Adepts come back home, we'll take out one of these mines at the same time. Has 1 DT gone down? Yeah, I think 1 DT has gone down. Must have been in the natural. Bunker is almost in trouble, but not quite. What happened here? Did this one also die? Yeah, it did die. I guess another scan that I just barely missed. Not a great start here for MAXPax, who killed 1 worker and lost 2 DTs. This DT in the natural still going pretty ham. Is also going to get taken out though. Will not be capable of escaping here. Stood swiping that bunker just a little bit too long. Now he's going to be in trouble. Blink as a follow-up is nice, of course, as this Medivac is still just chilling in the dead space. And will probably not get out of there ever again, but will still force units to be in that position, which is really, really frustrating if you're a Protoss player. What are you going to do with this Prism, MAXPax? Tell us all about it, because I'm fairly curious. I'm actually not so sure what he can do. Can he really go across the map right now with Blink Stalkers and start dealing some Blink pressure? Or does he need to warp in more DTs to morph them into an Archon and then kind of take it from there? I'm just not so sure. It feels like Cure is just in a really good position here after the early game, where he can basically do whatever he wants. The one thing I'm a little bit surprised by is that the stim hadn't started yet. Felt like the money was there for a while already, and the Tech Lab also was in a position to be used. Now Combat Shield should start here at the same time, But it feels like this is a little bit ill-timed here, coming out of Cure. Feels like these two should be a bit faster, or the reactor on the starport should be a bit later. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to have 3 medeffects out if you don't have stim and combat. Not a huge fan of that, at least. No upgrade is being researched here. This is a weird build order, honestly. Oh. 5 mines did end up falling. 5 probes ended up falling to the mine. I did miss that. Medevac gets to stay alive. No +1 yet. This entire setup out of Cure is really odd. Like, he's just forgetting certain key upgrades. Like, if he moves across the map right now with these 3 medevacs, he's going to be fighting without stim, without combat shield, without +1 against, yes, it's only 7 stalkers, but you're just going to get kited to death. So it makes a whole lot more sense to wait at least for the stim and the combat, and then kind of take it from there. Okay, he's going to go for a drop. This I actually kind of do like. Okay, now in that case I do like the timing here on these medevacs. No, I don't like it. He just lifted up to go to the natural. I'll probably believe that he got spotted, but he didn't actually get spotted. MaxPax had no clue what was going on. Double mine drop, I guess this is. Yeah, double mine drop heading towards the far left side is going to move into this adept. Let's take a look if MaxPax sees that. Yeah, probably did. I mean, this is legit 9 seconds. I'm pretty sure MaxPax spotted this. Unless MaxPax was sleeping, or... Yeah, he definitely seen it. He's gonna come back over this adept as well. Like, I want to kill that adept perhaps. Maybe you can pick it up, maybe you can pick it up. Maybe it's not even necessary. These mines are just gonna go back home. Giving MaxPax quite a lot of time. Look at that. 7 minutes, 51 seconds right now in the game, and Cure still hasn't moved out. Now, that doesn't mean that MaxPax is winning. It just means that he got a lot more time than I think he should have gotten in this type of situation. Almost feels like this should be an SCV pool in some way, no? Really does feel like it. This is hitting so ridiculously late that I think it's all in at this point. I also would have preferred seeing a Disruptor here coming out of MaxPax over this Colossus. There is already a Raven with full energy, so investing a lot of robo time into this Colossus rather than into a Disruptor just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Unless you're sure that you can snipe the Raven, but you can never really be sure about that, so that would be wrong to think. Now, the Zealot with the Prism managed to get in towards the main base. There did, I think, take out the Prism in the end here. Here comes the Zealot flank. I mean, this is just not going to work. This is way too little units. It's also pretty poorly synchronized here out of MaxPax. It's going to be losing basically every single Zealot before the Stalkers even arrive. Auto turrets have been placed down, though, and maybe that was the plan. It was to force out the auto turret so that there's no more interference matrix. Colossus will have a lot of time to shoot here. Well, there's no thermal lens actually, so maybe not that much time. Snipes both of these tanks. An interesting move out of MaxPax. A very risky one, but it allows him to also kill these mines. Oh my god. This was a sick move here out of Max. Taking out the siege units, taking out the mines, meaning that the Zealots are going to be more useful. The problem is that MaxPax's army still sucks and is kind of small. But at the same time, the Raven is now useless, the tanks are gone, and there's no mines with this either. This is a bit of an issue, as getting into the main base is quite a maze for MaxPax himself as well. Bit of a tower defense player over here. As you can see, one Colossus over at the third will not quite be capable of defending that. Let's see if the Zealots and Colossus in the main will be capable of defending this base. And we do have a lot of workers falling already, and I think that is just going to continue happening. Actually, more than just workers, it's going to be this Colossus as well. These Stalkers are being targeted down. A couple of Zealots are warped in, but this was a pretty good fight overall here for Cure, who kind of reset that Colossus count. There's still no thermal lens either. We still do have that robo, but yeah, it hasn't been sniped. Oh my god, the mines just killed a Colossus. I can't believe that. That's a huge blunder there out of MaxPax. Not so sure how impactful the blunder was, because I think the game was over anyway. But still, a blunder nonetheless. GG gets called here, as Cure wins game number 1 in this best of 5. And shows MaxPax what's up. And in our second game on Star Child, we have Cure sending one of his first SCVs straight up across the map. Going through their line of sight blockers to a location that only he knows. And now we know as well. Okay, it's going to be here. This is a cool spot, and it's also a spot with a lot of risk in it. It's a very risky location to build a barracks for multiple reasons. One, this is near where the wall would be placed, where the wall would be constructed for a Reaper jump up. So, if there's a pylon over here, you just straight up spot this barracks building. Perhaps not the most brilliant location, but if it doesn't get scouted, it actually is the most brilliant location. And this is something that I think some European and North American tosses do incorrect, is that they stick with a single probe pattern. So they always just send it straight across the map. Every single game, or 90% of the games. This allows Terrans to build this barrack so extremely close, because they know there's no risk of being scouted, so they can build it however close they want. Now, with this type of position, this Reaper is going to finish at like 158. It's going to hit the main base at, what should we say, maybe 204, 203. That means that there's going to be a solid 15 to 16 seconds available where the Reaper is going completely unchecked. There will be nothing to deal with that Reaper whatsoever. Solid, 16 seconds. That is enough to at least, even with very mediocre micro, it's enough to kill at least 2 workers most of the time. Especially given the fact that the wall is on the left side and not on the right side, making defending against this Reaper even a little bit harder. So here we go. Stalker gets constructed. Reaper indeed pops in here. 204 was his first shot, or 203 was his first shot. And he's going absolutely ham up. First probe here is going to end up falling. Second probe most likely. Ooh, good control out of MaxPax. Lots of mining time is already being lost though. Cure is going to dive deep here for... oh, hello. One more kill. There we go. That is 3 kills. Stalker might pop in though and take out that Reaper. So 3 kills for a Reaper and a lot of mining time lost. Ooh. And the bunker doesn't finish. That is... Okay, that's actually quite poorly done, because with that bunker finishing you force out a battery in the low ground, and with this positioning of the pylon there was actually no spot for a battery to be built anywhere without being in range of that bunker. So MaxPax kind of got away with murder here, but he also, got stabbed on the side. He tried taking someone out, and in the fight that ensued, he got stabbed in the arm, but he did get away with the murder. So it's not all good, it's not all bad. Kira is going to be a little bit upset by this, that's for sure. CC is being constructed on the high ground as well, which kind of shows that Kira is afraid of a counterattack. 2 more barracks, one more barracks is being constructed. Another barracks is already flying home, of course. It's going to be a mine drop as a follow-up. Heli and Reaper trying to move in, maybe just for some scouting, maybe for something else. Ooh, what's that Reaper doing? Definitely should try and hop on here to see if it can get some info on what tech is being built right now. Yes, it's not entirely clear. It's a very late Stargate as well. It opened up with, I think, double Stalkers here for MaxPax. So, not at all clear what this tech is going to be until you actually see the tech. This could just be a Twilight Council opener, right? For all that Cure knows. But now he's going to get that confirmation, and we'll see if there's going to be any major switch up coming from his side. He's going to let this medevac finish. He's even going to maybe pick up some of these mines or leave these mines at home. I don't actually know what it's going to do. Viking as a follow-up. We have a 3rd barracks coming down already as well. He's just going to actually hide these mines underneath the barracks. That is going to be researching stim or combat shield or whatever you have. Tank is already being produced as well. It's 29 workers against 38. I actually kind of like this position here for MaxPax. He is not going to be taking any damage whatsoever against a mine drop. He's not really in danger of anything aggressive either. He's pretty safe. He's up in eco. He's getting into Phoenix Colossus, I think, in the near future. But he might actually get a very fast 3rd base initially. Oh, that's cool. Okay, quick 3rd base and kind of just delaying everything else. So delaying the extra gases on his natural. I don't completely mind that. I actually think it's a pretty cool play. Kind of like that play. I really do. These barracks and factory are going to swap over. Reactor on the factory. Tech lab on the barracks, which means that combat shield can start. And I think Cure kind of misunderstood the timing of that Stargate. Like, Cure went pretty hard on the defense here. Well, pretty hard. He built a Viking. That's not going pretty hard on defense, but at least he went into a defense of some sorts. And didn't go for the mine drop. And all of that because he saw the Phoenixes, he saw the Stargate. Now, in hindsight, that perhaps wasn't completely necessary, because the Stargate was so extremely late. So there weren't any real Phoenixes out at all. Or hardly any Phoenixes at all. Is there any Marines in the main base? There's 3. And where's the mine? Oh, wait, the mines just got picked up. I was like, where's the mines at right now? Not so sure, actually. MaxPax is trying to figure out where they are. Doesn't see them. Going to pick up 2 SCVs. Might be forced to actually go home with these Phoenixes right now. Because, like, hey, where actually are is your drop? Where's the rest of your factory units? Surely you didn't just build a factory for a single Hellion, and indeed that isn't the case. Mine drop is going to come in here, it's going to drop, and MaxPax not paying attention, a huge blunder. The second kind of blunder in this series, and for the second time it is against mines. He was busy microing his phoenixes and loses 11 workers as a result of that. Now, he was in a very good position, now he's in a slightly worse position, because his early game just was that much better than Cure's. It's not the end of the world, but it is definitely something that we need to be we need to be curious, or that we need to be careful of. He's lifted his own probe there. Yeah, it happens to the best. Happens to the best. Sometimes the probe is walking over the mine that you want to live. It would have been really unfortunate if that would have been the reason why that mine got the fire a second time. That's the type of stuff that makes you lose games, and also just the series. The moment that happens, you just don't want to play anymore. You know, you turn off the computer and go outside for a little bit or something. Start walking around, thinking about the meaning of life, if it was all meant to be or not. Battery is here. This is a large bio army, but with the first Colossus out, this mainly marine force is just not going to deal that well with this. Colossus just absolutely blast marines, like on a different level. So yeah, I'd be fairly surprised to see Cure commit to this, and he's not going to commit to this. Now, don't forget that MaxPax already had this third base up and running for a while. Cure hasn't even started his third command center yet. It's just now moving over. Cure seems really keen on focusing heavily on unit production and getting that third CC very delayed. It delays his eco, but allows him a lot of units from these 3 barracks. Now, this Phoenix is perhaps in a bit of trouble. No, it's not going to be in trouble at all. This is still a lot of Marines, though, which I honestly have an issue with. 7 Phoenixes are out as well. Now, we're seeing a Forge. We should see a Twilight coming down soon, too, as MaxPax is moving into 6 gases right now. Ghost Academy is on the way. Do we already have barracks 4 and 5? Yes, they're already on the way here. And here we see our first real cut in production coming out of Cure. And that's not because he's bad, but that's because it's necessary in order to build the things that he wants to build. If you want to be getting some of these, you know, these big SCV waves in, if you want to get your Ghost Academy, your extra barracks, and at the same time a Forger +1 armor, you need to cut 1 or 2 waves of units, or at least delay them a little bit. And that's exactly what he's doing. For a second, I almost started to believe that MaxPax was kind of keen here on going into like a fleet beacon and maybe some mass Phoenix carrier stuff, because he did have like 7-8 Phoenixes already, and his Forge was kind of late, his Twilight was extremely late as well, but that's not actually the case here, as he is now building Charge. He's adding 7 gateways as well. It felt like it's a very delayed decision that he's coming in with, but it's still in time, because so far Cure hasn't been capable of doing anything. And if MaxPax gets away with these 7-8 gateways that he's building, gets the tech that he wants, and starts a forward base and has the ability to start moving on the map, that would be absolutely huge here for him. This mine is going to take out one Phoenix, so a couple of SCVs dying, but so did a Phoenix. Overall, pretty decent trade there for Cure. I think he's going to be quite happy with that. MaxPax is probably looking for a bit of an attack here. The Prism is out now. Now, don't forget that this was a game where 11 workers got killed with a double mine drop. That just kind of shows how much better the opener was here for MaxPax than it was for Cure. And this is also one of the reasons why Terrans don't really like the Proxy Rex Reaper as much, because it does feel like you need to deal a lot of damage, and your follow-up also probably needs to do something. You can just sit back and absolutely relax. Your CC is so extremely delayed. It's kind of painful. Now, this mine is going to get taken out. As there's no armory yet, so it doesn't turn invisible immediately. This is a slow Zealot run-by. This is the worst of the Zealot run-bys. Unless they're in a stasis, that's even worse. Except then they're safe, so it's something. Maybe actually I prefer having stasis Zealots than slow Zealots. Ooh, lots of these Phoenixes getting targeted down. And a mine comes in as well. That's like 4 or 5 Phoenixes that just died there. This still feels like an okay trade for MaxPax, because he's going to end up pushing it back. But he's gonna lose a lot of his drop denial with this. Because let's face it, there's no Stalkers, there's no blink, there's nothing really here that can deal with drops. He needs to move across the map right now, but even that move out is going to be less powerful if Vikings come out, which doesn't really seem to be the case. And that is also a little bit surprising, honestly. There is a counterattack coming out of Cure right now towards this third base. Cure's moving this rather slow, though. He's seems very busy with other things. Here we go. Stims forward. Will snipe the pylons, the battery. Okay, should have EMP'd this Nexus, obviously, to try and deny that recall. This has only 3 Colossus. I almost feel like Cure could have jumped on that. Obviously, Cure couldn't have known. This CC is being forced to live. 26 workers also going down. MaxPax, 167 supply against 138. Is trying to bust this ramp. I'm not so sure if that is going to be possible, but definitely managed to get a massive economy lead. He still has the fort. I don't quite understand why MaxPax is moving away from his 3rd base. That's just making it very vulnerable to the army you know was still there. A lot of probes will get taken out here as 20 workers die on the side of MaxPax. And this Nexus is also just going to get sniped. Triple CCs are still alive. There's no fort on the way yet. And with the worker count being 38 against 52, at the end of the day, I still think this kind of favors MaxPax here. I mean, he's up in supply, he's up in honestly everything at this point, except for upgrades. Soon his +2 will finish, and that's going to feel a bit better as well for him. Significant army here on the right side. Needs to be careful that it's not going to get caught while the rest of the army isn't with it. Because without the Colossi, like, Charged Archon isn't actually that brilliant most of the time. Uh-oh, here comes the Charged Archon already. He's thinking of attacking into this. I'm not entirely sure about that. Instead, just making it a massive flank here. This is the surround of a lifetime. 1 EMP is going to hit, 2nd EMP misses. Good control here. Look at this. The synchronized movement this time around is very good out of MaxPax. He knows what he wants, and he did not quite find the opportunity that he thought he needed, and instead is just going to end up pulling back. But definitely left a good impression with me there with that fight. Or with that setup of the fight, I should say. It wasn't really a fight. I mean, some blows were traded, but not a lot of kills happening there. This observer is right now moving forward. Is going to be put in observer mode. How many medevacs do we have? 5, 6, 9. 9 medevacs here. SCVs will get pulled back. Zealots moving in will get sniped by these Marines and Marauders. There's a couple of Vikings in there. This is a huge Archon army. There's 6 Ghosts as well. With multiple EMPs, these Archons are actually just going to pop like balloons. Pop, pop. Hello? Can we throw some EMPs? No? Alright, no EMPs? Yeah, if you don't want to, you don't have to. I'll force you to make EMPs happen. It would be pretty powerful to have. It's a lot of supply in Archons, it really is. One Archon is 4 supply, there's 7 of them. 7 times 4, I believe that is 28. So basically 30 supply in Archons. That means that really, if all these EMPs hit, that Cure has a slightly bigger army. Vikings in the sky dealing a lot of damage as well. Archons still dealing quite some DPS. Yeah, high damage output there from those Archons still in the end. At least the last 2 that managed to survive for a long time. Zealot reinforcements are coming in as well in the dying seconds of this fight. As this CC will get taken out, and that means it's going to be 4 base against 2 base right now. MaxPax does not need to continue attacking, but he probably can as well at the same time. He has the range advantage with these Colossus. The Marauder count is extremely low. There are no Vikings whatsoever. There's just a single Ghost. Like, I don't really see a way for Cure to win this fight. The army supply is just favoring MaxPax as well, which is somewhat important. Here come the Colossus sniping that 1 mine. Oh, Marauders move forward. A little bit of a scary moment there for those Colossus. If the 4 or 5 Marauders do get on top of them without the Zealots being there, that could have been bad, but now I don't think it's going to matter all that much. Good control here out of MaxPax. Very patient. 3 more Archons are being morphed in. Are already finished. EMP has absolutely everything. With 1 more EMP needs to connect with these Archons. It's not really going to happen, I guess. 1 more Purification Nova is available as well. Here comes the lowering of the depots and the SCV pull just before 2-2 finishes up. This fight commences. But even with 3-3, I don't think this would have gone well for Cure. GG gets called. MaxPax takes game number 1 and ties up this best of 5. And that, friends, brings us to game number 3, which is going to be played here on Cryostasis. Also one of the maps from the TLM C17. With a beautiful snow coming out of the sky. Gateway and Cybercore combination is going to be thrown down at a very standard, weird type of wall, once again out of MaxPax, who just doesn't really seem to like full walling this type of area. I also probably would say, why don't you wall this side? Because if there's going to be a proxy Rex, it's going to be over here. Having a wall on that side is usually beneficial to the defense of that Reaper. There's not going to be a Reaper this time around, though. It's just going to be a straight up Marine into Reactor. Look at that. This is some classic old school stuff. I think Cure probably played this as well in the first game. Did feel like a Marine into Reactor, and It's with an SCV scout as well. It's really fun to see this. To see this type of Marine into Reactor, because when you talk with a lot of Terrans, they freaking hate the Marine into Reactor build, because it doesn't really have any major upsides in a way. If we think about it, you don't have a really quick factory, which means that you're not going to be capable of dealing damage most of the time with like a mine drop. If you're planning on playing like some tank all in, it's going to suck as well. There's just not a lot of builds that are great aggressively. Like your aggression isn't going to do it for you. You don't have the scouting of the Reaper either, so it's already very difficult for you to figure out what's going on. I guess that is only the case if you're not being proxy gated and you end up scouting that proxy gate, because that is exactly what happened here. Look at that. This SCV and these two Marines are going to try and take out the Adept. We get a raise of the depot just in time. Bunkers on the way here already. Overall, I like the build order idea out of MaxPax, where he said, hey, you know what? I kind of would... Wait, what? I kind of would like to go into like a 2-gate pressure here, because you almost always skip your bunker in the natural the moment there's a ramp. I mean, he saw that in the first game, and now he says, maybe I can actually abuse that a little bit. Snipes the one SCV over there. There is still quick blink coming up as well, and a tank is pretty much going to be forced out here, which is cool and interesting. So this is a really fun approach, I think, to this matchup. Is as a Protoss player, you're saying, hey, I'm going to put on some minor pressure, but it's the type of pressure that if you skip a tank and you skip your bunker, you're going to be in trouble. However, if Cure were to play a fast bunker and go for a mine drop, that would really suck for MaxPax, because his blink is so extremely delayed. A mine drop could deal a lot of damage. Now that Cure went for a tank, and MaxPax is going to scout this, MaxPax knows he doesn't need to keep any units at home, because there's not going to be a fast drop with mines, because a tank just has been built. So it's literally impossible for there to be mines in a medevac right now. So this makes this situation a lot more comfortable here. Third base is still going to be at a pretty quick time as well. Like, this is not a late third base whatsoever. Oh, but I don't think MaxPax is ready for this Marine drop. This Marine drop is probably even better than a mine drop. Oh, I really like this. So using the tank defensively, which allows him to move across the map with this. That is such a cool way to play this. I was thinking the only way of aggression is with a mine drop, but this is of course also a completely viable way. There's only 2 Stalkers here. They do not have blink. Oh no. These probes need to be pulled right here. There's some healing on them, Marines. I think focus should be on the probes for sure though. If you manage to get like 5, 6, 7 workers here, that's going to be fantastic already. Doesn't quite seem to be the case though. Just a single Stalker being taken out. Blink finishes now. MaxPax with a very solid save here. We'll only end up losing 4 workers and, what is that? 2 Stalkers. Still a little bit more than I thought he would in the end. 43 workers against 37. There is Dark Templar coming in. Oh no, the wall is up. The jig is up. As this DT is actually going to get scanned to death. Almost felt like they could have escaped, but didn't quite. There's another DT ready. Raven is being constructed right now as well. And well, with that Raven building and with these 3 tanks being popped out before Stim, the follow push is going to be there quite late coming out of Cure. That means that MaxPax has a lot of time with his third base already done right now, where he can consider just pumping up a couple more workers. Ooh. DT gets to escape. I'm a little bit surprised that Cure had this wall up. That seems to make very little sense. Third is about to finish up, and that means that now this wall is completely secured. DTs will not be an issue for much longer. MaxPax is going to get to the worker count that he desires, which is... Wait, is he taking a 4th? I saw a probe moving towards the right side. I was like, oh, taking a 4th here? That's a very risky move off of 3 gateways, especially because one of your gateways is on the other side of the map. And it's probably going to get taken out the moment Cure starts moving on the map with this type of 3-1-1 push. There's going to be a lot of tanks with it as well. Like 3 tanks, a Raven, 16 Marines. Once again, Stim and combat being very slow though, so... It's still not entirely like sure that this is just straight up going to kill MaxPax. If anything, I actually like MaxPax's position more than I like Cure's position. There's good vision coming out of MaxPax as well, and he has vision with DTs, which is great, because it allows you to spot things without being spotted, without people realizing that they're being spotted. And that is one of the most powerful things in all of StarCraft 2. Now, these tanks are slowly but surely trying to kind of leapfrog forward. The to kill this gateway eventually, and they will get it. There's still a tank at home somewhere as well. I mean, there was 3 tanks. Yeah, that one's in the main base. There's a bunker here that's now going to get salvaged. Once again, huge committal here. Out of cure into these barracks units before the 3rd CC. He could have easily cut 1 round of units here. Like the follow-up Marauders that are being queued up, these 2 Marines, just to throw down that command center. But Cure says, no, I want as many units as I can get, and I want them to build as fast. Like the moment my other Marauders finish up, I want to, bam, immediately start them. This puts him, every single time he plays this, in a very all-in position. It forces him to deal damage, and if he doesn't deal damage with this, he is going to be in trouble. But it does look like he can deal some damage with this. There is a prism moving across the map right now. It has 2 zealots in it. This DT could be added into the mix as well. But what's there really at home here for MaxPax? Well, the answer is not enough units. There's a couple of zealots. There's 2 sentries with Guardian Shield, but no upgrades on these units. The anti-armor is still working on a single Stalker. And right now, Cure's just going to snipe this battery for free. Tanks and mines will get taken out, but at the same time, every single probe in the natural is going to end up falling. Pylons might depower these gateways as well, as the Nexus just instantly gets sniped. Cure will be capable of maneuvering into an even better position, slightly over stims here. And that might force him to eventually lift up or give up this position. At the same time, does he really need to? I don't think so. Look at this. Marines, Marauders, and well, at this point, no medevacs anymore. But before that point, at least some medevac healing. Do so much damage and had a decent level of sustain as well over there in this little corner where they were locked in. Nexus falls, a lot of probes go down, and despite the complete lack of a 3rd CC altogether, because instead we're seeing Barracks 4 and 5 being built, I don't think it's actually going to matter very much. Cure just has too many units right now, he has too many workers, he's just dealing a lot of damage here. Not so sure why we're seeing this complete stim back, that seems like a bit much in my mind. This DT is going to get sniped surely the moment the scan becomes available. Yep, there we go. Oh, Marauder, it's not gonna die, but the Marine will bite the dust. 4 mine drops get sent out. There is an armory on the way as well. I'd still say that the 3rd CC probably would have been fine to construct. I'm not entirely sure why it was delayed by so long. Especially, like, Barracks 4 and 5 will not actually help too much, right? They haven't constructed a single unit yet. And the next push is gonna come with, like, 1 Marauder being built from this. That's going to be it. So the added-in benefit of having that isn't actually that large, I think. I think having a faster 3rd CC forces more out of the Protoss as well. Like, you could have been mining already from 3 CCs at this point, which would have been huge, obviously. Now, this is going to end up dying. DT falls as well with a single scan. Prism goes down, and here comes the 4 mine drop. Okay, 2 in the main base, don't forget. These are armoried mines. So they take out these units. Oh my god, there's no robotic facility. Yeah, MaxPax just taps out. He says, okay, I don't have detection right now. Actually did have detection. He had a single observer, but maybe he forgot about it. He just didn't want to deal with this. And to be fair, he was pretty dead. 80 supply against 116. And we'll be heading into game number 4. Just like that, we find ourselves on map number 4 here, which is going to be played on a grass van. I think I've seen this map before, actually. Are these rocks? I don't think you need to... This is like an indicator on where to build your nexus, I think. More so than anything else. It's like one of these things, or like having a circle around your base, which you sometimes see. I think that's the same with these rocks. Yeah, I don't think these are blocking rocks. They look way too small. But I've never seen it before. That I will say immediately over here. Now let's take a look at any of the weird characteristics on this map. Do we have any rich Vespine geysers? Do we have any gold bases? It doesn't quite seem to be the case. This is a weird base though. Kind of in the middle. It's kind of open. But it's also, this area is just naturally defended. Like, it's not super open. Just a bit of a weird mechanic in a way. I kind of like it. I also always liked that on Hardwire. For the people who forgot about Hardwire, it was a map where on the base that a lot of people took as their fort, there was an area behind it where Terrans could drop tanks and they could just drop units, and it kind of introduced this weird mechanic. It was a difficult position to get into for Terran, but once they got there, it was really powerful, but it also left their bases wide open because it didn't really cover the way to their base. So you could just pull your workers away for a while and then counterattack with a lot of zealots, for example. And I think it's these types of mechanics that kind of give a dynamic feel to a map. You know, it's like sometimes with certain maps, it feels like there are features that are just beneficial for one race. But a feature like this, like you could siege this up, this position. At the same time, it kind of does open up like counterattack possibilities, and it's probably difficult to get in that position altogether. So it's not as cut and dry as, okay, this is a good position, you always want to have it. Like situationally, you need to be aware of a lot of things for that position to be good. And I think those are the type of interactions that you want on a map. And it's really cool to see that type of stuff. I really believe that Hardwire was a good example of that, especially in the Terran versus Protoss matchup. Like that position was so good in TVP, but at the same time, getting there put you in such a vulnerable state that it almost didn't feel worth it a lot of the time, even if you had a lot of those Liberators or a couple of tanks down there. Now in the TVZ matchup, it often felt that Zerg couldn't do too much about it, which was less interesting. So you also of course have the issue of multiple matchups playing on the one map. Which is why I've been saying for a very long time now, if you want to see a cool, diversified map pool with funky little things, what needs to happen... Oh, hold that thought as we see this Reaper and Hellion coming in. Trying to take out this Adept. This is going to be a very close fight, by the way. And hello, Micro the Hellion! Is he memeing? Did he fall asleep? He just forgot to control his units. I mean... that is a little bit silly. Now, these triple Reapers are getting a lot of damage real fast. I'm glad that MaxPax decided to shade out of there. He's going to save it. What I was going to say about the map pool was that if you want a diversified map pool with a lot of different types of play, a cool thing that you could potentially do is saying, hey, why don't we put 15 maps in and give everyone like freaking 5 or 6, 6 vetoes in every best of 3. A, this allows for a greater variety of maps. And B, it also allows for matchup-specific maps. Because then if there is a map that is completely broken in Terran versus Protoss, but is really good in Terran versus Zerg, the Protoss can just veto it with one of his 5 vetoes in a best of 3, or one of his 4 vetoes in a best of 5. And it also just increases the map diversity in a matchup itself. I mean, if there are 7 viable maps to be played in one matchup, and they're about even, you know, they're semi-balanced, you could kind of, you know, you could have different things there. We could see more map-specific tricks. I think that is a very healthy way to approach an RTS in my mind. It's having a bigger variety of maps, which are also, I mean, if you only have 3 races that are just matchup-specific, I think it's completely possible. You could even have maps that are really fun in like PvP that are completely garbage in every other map, like, or in every other matchup. I mean, I can't think of what that would look like, but I'm not a map maker. It gives a lot of freedom to map makers as well to not have to think about that type of stuff. I think it's an interesting way to experiment. Also with balance, you know, you could kind of balance it through that a lot easier as well. You can already do that through the match, but it makes it hard because you're never just targeting a single matchup. You're always targeting everything as a whole because there's so little maps in total. Now, this Mind Drop is going to go in and for a... Oh my god. This is really, really poorly done out of Max. This is the 3rd time this game. I'm not sure if he slept poorly. I'm not sure if he didn't eat enough cereal this morning. You know, maybe he's babysitting his 6-year-old cousin, and his cousin was being a little prick. And just as he was looking at his cousin, you know, the mines come in for a 3rd time in a row. But this is just getting a little bit out of hand. This is really, really poor. Now, this counter-attack can still deal some damage, and probably is going to still deal some damage, but 22 workers have been killed so far in this game by Cure, and MaxPax is going to need to do something similar here. We'll need to see a similar trick being performed. Look at these mines. 9 kills on one, 12 on the other. That's 2 mines with a combined kills of 21. This Medivac should have been capable of escaping. Very poor play there out of Cure. That would have been an absolutely huge deal, because that means that these Stalkers now get to go across the map, which is just a massive benefit here to MaxPax, who is actually making this kind of work. He snipes 1 bunker here. This is a great map for Blink. Look at how big this main base actually is. I wasn't even thinking about that earlier. Oi, 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 oi. There are so many Stalkers right now that tanks can just be one-shot every single time around. Oh, Observer moves in. If these Marines are out of position and the Stalkers blink into the natural, which I think is what should... No, don't go into the main. Into the natural we go. No. There was a tank completely for free there in the natural. Honestly, if MaxPax would have gone there, he probably would have just straight up killed the tank and made life so freaking difficult here for Cure. Cure is supply blocked, he is getting stim. He's trying to add as many Marines as he can, as well as a third tank. Now here we go, could just jump down here, look at this. This is a move from the main base into the natural, is definitely a possibility here. Oh, moves forward with the tank, could blink on top of that. MaxPax is indeed going to end up blinking on top of that. We'll lose 2 Stalkers for it. Do we get some micro with the Prism? Perhaps no. We have an auto turret on the other side of the map trying to harass as well. There is Storm on the way already. I think he could blink down in here. It's 4 Marines and a tank. It's 15 Stalkers. Surely that's you're capable of one-shotting the tank and then 2 following that bunker as well. It's better than attacking into this. I don't think MaxPax realized he can just blink down here. Oh no. Lots of mistakes being made this game here out of our Danish professional StarCraft 2 player, who is struggling to get the damage done that he needs to get done. Gonna lose 2 more workers as well to this auto turret, as this Raven is now in a position where he's probably not going to be capable of being touched anymore. Which is annoying. Which is very, very annoying. Psionic Storm here is being researched. That's what? 69, 70 out of 79. You have more Marauders being produced. If, once again, Cure is going to go for this massive 2-base push, I'm actually going to be a bit disappointed. Especially against 2-base Storm, which he has scouted. I don't think these pushes are that good. I much prefer a faster 3rd CC with a quick Ghost Academy as well. And then kind of going for like a very late type of 1-1 timing, with like 1 or 2 Ghosts, with that enhanced Shockwave even. Yeah, I think this 3rd CC timing makes some sense. Ideally even would have had it faster, but it is what it is now. These Stalkers are still looking for something. I don't think they're quite going to find it. There is a Prism with, what is this, 2 Templar out already. 2 more Templar do get warped in here at the 3rd base. Allow for a little bit extra defense. I'm not quite sure if it's going to be enough. Look at that. The movement here out of MaxPax. Just knowing where to go. This auto turret is going to get placed in the natural. Take out 2 more workers. That's the Raven with a total of 6 kills right now. Feeling pretty comfortable about life, I guess. Observer once again moving in. I think that might have gotten spotted here. Did it? Yeah. Oh. It felt like Cure was moving into that location to start us. Yeah, okay. It's like the way that he moved there, it really felt like it got spotted. I wonder if these medevacs also got spotted. Yeah, they definitely did. Stalker's trying to desperately get in towards the main base. Uh-oh, Cure might be in trouble here. Blink forward, 1 gets sniped. 2nd one is going to get sniped. Huge issue there for Cure. Huge, huge issue. He's going to lose a lot of supply instantly, and that means that MaxPax, after, quite frankly, a pathetic start, is now going to be in a fine position. There are 2 Archons here. There's still 3 Templar and a Prism as well, which should just be capable of dealing with this. The scary thing is that you fly into a mine with this, it just explodes, because you already took some damage earlier in the game, which means that usually mines don't one-shot a Prism, but right now they definitely will. So you fly too far forward with your Prism, you could just end up losing 3 Templar, and well, that's pretty much the DPS that you have, so not entirely great. Observer actually just following this army. Surely Cure is seeing that, right? It's fairly obvious when that happens. But for whatever reason, he's not quite okay. Well, MaxPax just walking into the scan is also not quite great. Blink forward. Another medevac gets taken out. 2 medevacs total right now. I think we're going to see an attack here coming out of MaxPax. 4th base is already on the way. We have our Forge coming in as well. That's our 1st Forge. Wouldn't mind seeing a 2nd Forge next to it. I wouldn't mind seeing a Robo Bay behind this either. So we can actually have a transition going at the same time here. Now, this Prism is going to be extremely important in this fight. Can we get 1 Storm? That was an okay Storm, actually, hitting a mine, hitting big portions of the Marauder count. Don't forget, the medevac count is low, which means that every Stim and every Storm that even just hits remotely is going to be a very big deal. Wait, how did Cure get up in supply again? I guess the 5 Zealots that MaxPax lost kind of sucked there, but we have the Robo Bay on the way. We have our +1. I think a 2nd robotics facility would not be bad. I also think these 2 workers need to start taking the short way around rather than taking, the freaking detour of a lifetime. A couple of Zealots being set up for run-bys. This is a MaxPax classic, of course. He knows absolutely how to do that. Does not want to be in these positions with these Zealots if the opponent is just scouting around there for the entire time. But right now, Cure is pretty much contained in his main base. He's not actually tacking up to any further upgrades, is he? Let's have a look at that. Is there an RE? No, there's not. I think Cure is maxing out on 1-1 with Ghost, with like 3-4 tanks. What is this? 3 tanks? A Raven? which is over here, so not really relevant, I guess, but still. And then just moving out at max. No, he's adding the armory and the eBay right now. Still feels like he's almost forced into an attack with this, though. Like, this is such a weird setup where if you don't try to kill your opponent, MaxPax got away with way too much here. Way too much. Oh, big initial storm here. Actually hitting a lot of the ghosts, which is kind of huge. I would love to see a couple of feedbacks going down here as well. Rather than trying to... Sure, storms are great, but this army is so reliant on shields that it almost feels like if you can deny any EMPs from happening, that is bigger than using your own storm. Because EMP is just such a huge impact in these fights. Now, Zealot Run-By is moving in. See 3 Zealots going in towards this turret, where there's a mine right next to it. Then a couple of Zealots trying to take out this command center here near the 3rd base, which they should be capable of doing that. And then we'll start moving back home. MaxPax at the same time is kind of sharking around the map. Is going to find this army, and with Guardian Shield and with this Prism might just be capable of doing something here. Oh, a couple of storms. Not the greatest storms, also not the worst storms. Actually, those last few storms were pretty freaking bad. This is an open area as well. That means that Cure has an absolute blast with this concave that he was handed by MaxPax. MaxPax is going to get completely blasted. And there's only 8 gateways behind this. He is adding more right now, but I think that's too late. And oh my god, you can't believe it. Interference Matrix coming in clutch here as well. Super Battery gets activated, and what could have been a great defensive fight turns into a fight in the middle of the map, where MaxPax is fighting without extended thermal lens, down an upgrade, against a crap ton of ghosts, with an army that couldn't really fight there, apparently. Now is going to end up losing his 4th base, and with that 4th base, honestly, well, everything else as well, because there's just nothing here to defend anymore. All of these medeffects are completely empty, but I don't think that actually matters whatsoever. And EMP will connect with a couple of these Zealots. Disruptors being chrono boosted out as well here at the same time. I personally do just believe that MaxPax is completely dead, and that he has lost this series, and mainly due to kind of unforced errors, right? The mine drops, the fight that we just saw. This wasn't Cure outplaying MaxPax. This was MaxPax making some very, very significant errors. Then sometimes coming back into the game through some great aggression, some nice run-by, some good Blink Stalker control. But overall, a fairly disappointing series here out of the young game. GG gets called, and indeed Cure will win this best of 5 with a 3-1 score.